episode 4. So I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. We were talking about getting gas in our vehicle, and this person um, goes until not they don't let it pass half a tank. They or even before, okay, and they'll fill up. And this person does live a little bit of ways from the nearest gas station, so maybe that has a part to play in it. I, on the other hand, I mean, I'm like that pass or on the red line every single time. Okay. And I may fill up or I may not. It just depends on whatever the situation is. But I definitely ride the line. My wife didn't for years, but now I've softened her up to where that, and it's kind of productive on my part because I'll get in her vehicle and there's no gas in it. But so what do you do? Do you wait to the very end? And then, well, also I have a feeling I know the answer to this question, but I want to have you say it. Because
I feel so attacked. I feel so attacked right now. Like literally.
Yeah, please explain, elaborate, please.
Wow. Okay, so I don't pump gas. I don't. That sounds so extra. It sounds so bougie. It sounds so like.
Oh, I love it.
I don't pump gas. Like I just
the attitude you have saying that too. It's hilarious. I don't pump gas.
I don't. So depending on when my husband can get gas in the car, whether it's a half or on the line, it doesn't matter as long as I'm not pumping the gas. So, yeah, I feel so attacked. I know so much judgment right now. I know.
Listen, more power to him, man. I tell you, like, but good on you guys, knowing your role.
Yeah, but it's so bad. It's so bad that one time I like forgot to tell him I needed gas, and he hadn't been in my car, and then he was going out of town. So I was at like a meeting with some friends, and a mutual, very good friend of ours was there that knows my whole gas situation. And I was like, hey, do you mind? And this person was so kind to like follow me. This is how bad it is. Follow me to the gas station so that I don't have to pump gas. I just don't pump gas. Sorry.
So, but you're not a germaphobe, right?
No.
It's just I don't pump gas. I don't wear Velcro shoes. I don't pump gas. Like it's in the same bucket, right? Like it's just.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm gonna get so much mail text message judgment from what I'm about to say, but whatever, because we're all about being authentic on this podcast.
That's right.
So I'm all about gender equality and all of that, like girl power, right? I'm a girl, right. I can do anything. However, I just feel like girls shouldn't pump gas. I know that's so bad. Like I know girls are out there right now. Like I can pump my gas. That's great. But I feel like girls shouldn't pump gas. So much so, this is even worse. Like we have a son, and like I'm just letting my son know, like when you get married, there's no reason why your wife needs to pump gas. Like you need to handle it. So anyway, all the judgment, just bring it on.
Hey, you be you. You be you.
I'm being me. All right, we're talking about podcasting this week after Mitchell's whole "Let's Judge April" question. Like he didn't already know that about me, but we're gonna let that slide, and we're gonna get into the content all about podcasting.
Okay, I will say this: as we both know, that I'm an excellent person at sticking my foot in my mouth. On more than one occasion, you have witnessed this firsthand. That was one of those situations. I didn't think all that through. It was just kind of a cool recent conversation I had with someone. But as I was saying it, I realized, wait a minute, I know the answer to this question.
Yes, it's all good though. See, they're learning. They're learning about our personalities. It's Absolutely. All good. It's all good. Yeah. As we wrap up our series all about podcasting, we're going to talk about podcast growth today. And what are just some things that you can do as you start your podcast to build that momentum, to get it growing. Again, you guys know we just started this podcast a few months ago at the time of this episode being aired. And so we're going to pull the curtain back. We're going to give you some ideas, just some things to think about as you grow your podcast. Maybe your podcast is years down the road and you just want some different ideas or a different perspective on how to grow it. We hope that you will find value in this episode today. And I'm going to start with the most obvious way, and you probably can guess it, and that is promoting your podcast on social media. It's a great way to grow your podcast. It's a great way to market. You can create the reels, you can create the carousels, you can share insights, you can share behind the scene things. There's so many different ways you can approach it, but social media is such a great tool to use to market your podcast. There's no reason why you should have a podcast and not promote it on social media. Mitchell, thoughts?
100% agree. I mean, social media is content, and you're setting on gold as far as content. Like a previous episode, we talked about how there's a ton of resources out there. I mean, literally, we mentioned how we use Buzzsprout to distribute our podcast. Just on Buzzsprout, there's ways to shorten and make snippets and make reels and make it interesting looking. It's not just, kind of garbage stuff. Like, I mean, it makes it cool looking. It makes it where, I mean, in our opinions, it looks like something that we would want to put our own social media that has excellence, has quality. So you're settling on gold, and there's a ton of resources out there to help you cut things up and make it post worthy. So go for it.
Yeah. And when you're putting things on social media, engage with your people, respond to comments. Maybe there's a trend you notice that would work well for you as you're promoting on social media. Utilize that as well. Different features, ask your audience questions. There's just a ton of ways you can promote on social media and engage with your people. So, number one, you want to grow your podcast, make sure it is promoted on social media. Secondly, oh my goodness, please leverage your network. Oh my goodness. We love community, we love people, we love connecting. Use that to leverage your podcast. Talk to people about your podcast. Ask people to share your podcast. When you are talking to someone just randomly at the store and something comes up and you, I don't know, had an episode that referenced something that would be useful to them, don't be afraid to talk about your podcast with other people. It's so key. So there's one aspect of promoting on social media, but there's another aspect of promoting in just your everyday human interaction. Or maybe you're a part of a larger network in your industry, in your business. Mitchell and I talk about this all the time. Like, who are we networking with? As we're networking with people, they need to hear about our podcast. Let's make the connections and leverage them. It doesn't mean we're using them, quote unquote. When I say leverage our network, it's like, man, networks help each other out. That's what a network is. It's like, I'm going to help you and you're going to help me. There are so many people I've met just over the years in different communities and networks, and it has just been a game changer for all things business for me, and as well as leading into We Dream Media. I know it's going to help We Dream Media as well. But man, leveraging your network is so, so, so key. Mitchell, I know I have a lot to say about this. I would love just your thoughts.
Well, you definitely are more keen on this with our business, and I'm naturally more reluctant in this type of situation. I love to connect, but as far as leveraging, when you say leveraging, that kind of makes me sweat a little bit, because what it's doing is putting my work out there and putting me out there. And now putting us out there. What's the word? I guess I'm just reluctant to do that. It's just how I'm wired. Now, it's more of a stretch for me to do that, and I see the importance. I'm agreeing 100% of everything you're saying. Networking is giant, and I'm probably better at it than I think I am, because networking is connecting. But as far as like broad reach, the whole concept of networking, you bring that to the table as far as We Dream is concerned, majorly. And there's a ton of value in that. So I really echo everything you're saying.
Yeah, it's so fun just to hear what other people are doing and then share what you're doing. And then when we can refer someone to someone, or someone gives us a referral, it's a good feeling to know, like, all right, I'm in a community with people who want to see me win. And that brings us to like the third thing you need to do to grow your podcast is create a community around your podcast. This is what we're trying to do with this podcast, right? We're putting out episodes for you guys, are bringing value, but very soon there will be opportunity to be a part of like our email community where we can give you updates and bring you offers and things that you can invest in to help you grow. It's all part of building a community around this value. So I don't know what that looks like for you. Maybe it is you also starting an email list. Maybe it's a Facebook group. Maybe it's a different kind of group. Maybe it's an in-person community that you can start. Whatever that is, when you can bring people along the ride with you, you are 100% of the time going to grow faster. We grow faster with people. We don't grow very quickly in isolation because there are things that people have, gifts, ideas that we don't have. So as we create community with you guys are going to give us feedback, give us episode ideas, give us product ideas that you need. That's going to help us grow because we're going to be able to serve you at a greater capacity. And we know business is serving. So the more that we grow with you, the more we serve, the more you're going to grow. And it's just a win-win for everybody involved. I could talk about this all day, Mitchell. Community is just super important.
I love it. I mean, the more engagement, I mean, like we had an episode about talking about tools and resources and like logistically how to make a podcast. And I mean, I would love to know what other people, one, I'm interested in it personally, but business wise too, but also like just kind of confirming you're not on the wrong track here. Like, if this is my goal and I use this tool, but there's another tool that I found out within my community that they use because that tool that you like, that feature that you like, they run circles around this other stuff. So once you check out this, like you just make sure you're getting different perspectives, different experiences. And it's good to rub shoulders with people like that can help you just grow and kind of, to sharpen other people, and it's a really great way to do that.
Yeah, we love people, obviously. So anytime we can bring people along, it fills our cup. Maybe you're watching or listening and you're like, people are not really my jam. Let me just encourage y'all. I know there are people out there who are not like us, and they're like, listen, I'm fine in my little corner over here. Leave me alone. Okay. There is also a way for you to strategically grow your podcast. So this tip is for all my people who want to be in a corner. We got you. Another way you can grow your podcast is to track your analytics, right? Monitor them. Maybe you don't want to get out there and talk to people and get feedback from them, but man, you're looking at your episodes. What topics are the most downloaded, right? What topics are giving you the most customer like interaction? Maybe they are leaving a comment on your Apple Podcasts and you're seeing, oh man, my listeners like this type of thing. Well, if they like that type of thing, put more of that type of thing out there. You can adjust your strategy based on your metrics, right? You can use your metrics to set realistic goals, right? Sometimes just having those benchmarks for growth is that little push you need. Maybe you want to increase your downloads by, 10% each month, right? Maybe you say, man, I want to secure my first sponsorship in the first year or first year and a half of my podcast. What does that look like? And then make sure you're celebrating along the way, right? Sharing your success with the audience on the podcast, right? Maybe you're like, man, guys, we've grown the community by this much this year, and let them be along the journey like on the podcast. Don't feel like you have to put yourself in a room full of people to get feedback from people. I guess that's the moral of my story. Like you can grow your podcast even if you're not cool with being in a room full of people. So that's what we're saying today, guys. Grow your podcast. Mitchell, you want to just share about that? I know you love people, but there are people in the world who are like,
So my wife is definitely the person that will not want to proactively connect to people and be in a corner looking at analytics probably. But on that note, that's what I'll talk about. So I love people and I love to connect, but I think analytics is a great thing to look at pretty regularly because and this is why having a focus. What? No, I'm sorry. The why. Having a thought out why is very important, which we talked about earlier in the season, because you need to know what works. When you look at your analytics and you see that this video had more traction and had more engagement, well, the first question is why? Why was that the case? Was it, what did you change your perspective? Did you add something, a new element to it? Did you go from audio to video? Did you jump on a trend and cut a highlight reel video that was similar or close to that trend and you picked up on some trends? Whatever it is. So you need to make sure you know what you're doing and where you can de-engineer that and replicate it and go off of that momentum. So looking at your analytics regularly is a very good idea.
Yeah. It's like you don't just want to track what's going wrong. You want to track what's going right. Like if you don't know what's going right, how can you duplicate it, essentially? So we want to know what are the things that are going well because we want more of those things. So just makes perfect sense. I hope you're encouraged today to not just start your podcast, but grow your podcast. Get it out there on social media. Start talking to people. Leverage your network. Build community around your podcast and look at those analytics. Track your downloads, all the things so that you can truly take huge steps of growth this year. So what do you do from here? Well, you start a podcast. You connect with us. Send us a DM on Instagram. Say, hey, I'm starting a podcast. Help me get started. We would love to help you. Also, you're going to subscribe to this podcast because you don't want to miss an episode. You recognize that we are bringing you tons of value every single month so you can truly get your story out there, elevate your brand. We're excited to see all the things you're going to do this year using your media. Stay connected with us because together we
dream media.